horse lovers, welcome to day 4 of Pony Boot Camp. All right, first up today we have the crazy, the beautiful, the white Olaf. Okay, so we're gonna start with grooming, the normal thing, and then we're gonna just do some bending, backing, and maybe a little walk trot on the lunge, a little bit of a lighter day, maybe focus on some lateral movement and go from there. He's a good boy. Okay, so of course we're gonna start with our grooming session, get them all clean, and we're gonna be doing some fun exercises today versus just walk, trot, canter on the lunge line. Some different things that you can do with your horse or pony, especially when you're getting to know them, and it's really beneficial. So I'm looking forward to this. All right, so I'm gonna start with some cuddles, of course. Let him know how wonderful he is. Okay, I'm gonna start with an exercise with my lead rope. I'm gonna lightly drape it over portions of his body to see how he reacts and to kind of desensitize him to touch and just see how he is with the rope touching different parts of his body. And I'll talk about this more later. Okay, so here I'm doing some mounting exercises. I'm going to talk about this later, and it just helps to desensitize them to the motion of mounting. Okay, now we're going to do some backing exercises. So right now I have my hand under the halter and I'm just very lightly putting a little bit of pressure on his nose. And the second that he steps back, I release the pressure. So I love this backing exercise. And I think it's really important to practice backing up both like this with your lead rope and the halter and by using your hand. And again, I'll go into more detail a little bit later. Okay, now I'm going to ask him to bend his neck. So the goal is when I ask him to bend, I don't want him to move his feet. I want him to understand that I'm just asking for a little bit of flexion. And that was really good. And I just kind of want his nose to come towards me. Now, it depends on how stiff the horse is, but you don't want to push this. And I'm going to do this a few times on each side. This is an excellent exercise for getting your horse supple and responsive. And I'm going to explain later why it's important to do this regardless. It's not just for flexibility. There's another reason as well, which I'll go into later. Olaf did exceptionally well in this exercise, so we are going to back and then move on to something else. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of in-hand work with him. So I just have the lead rope kind of draped over his neck. It's not tied or anything, so don't worry. So what I'm asking him to do here, I'm not asking for shoulder in or for a side pass. I honestly just want him to move laterally away from me when I put my hand in my crop out. Normally I use a dressage whip, but it wasn't out here. So you definitely want a little bit of a longer whip or a lunge whip, dressage whip, bamboo stick, just depends. So literally all I want him to do is just move away, and this is the first step. Then we'll get more into side passing and shoulder in once they have the muscle to be able to do so and the understanding. So this is just the first step in this. I literally just want him to move forward when I ask and then just move away without me pulling on the halter. So when I apply pressure to the side, I want him to step to the side. That was him just kind of circling there. It's a little better. And it's sloppy right now, but we will refine that later. This is just day 1, first step. I don't want to overwhelm or push him or work those intrinsic muscles too hard. Okay, so while I was working with Olaf, Jafar and Miko started playing. So I recorded them for a little bit so you can enjoy their shenanigans. They love to play King of the Hill on this little dirt hill that we have in the paddock. He's like, what are you looking at? All right, back to training with the next pony. And now we have the colorful, the mustachio, the wonderful Duke of Weselton. Okay, we're gonna start with Weselton's grooming session. He's not horribly dirty, so that's nice. Also, I just love his coloring. I think he's so beautiful. He's a red roan varnish. It'll be really fun to see how he ends up turning out over time. But yeah, I'm just obsessed with it. I think it's really fun and unique. Okay, so we're going to be doing the same exercises with him, and I can talk a little bit more about them. Okay, so I'm going to start backing him using the lead rope and the halter, and he's being really responsive. If you notice, I will step with my feet to kind of help him get the motion, which does help. And then I'm going to switch to using a little pressure on the nose. And I'm just going to wait. If he doesn't respond, I just hang in there. I don't get stronger. If it really takes a while, then I'll kind of wiggle my hand. And as you saw, I tried to step to show him that's what I wanted him to do. And I'm just going to hang out. And then there we go. And then I'm just going to give him a break because that was a good response. And I'm just going to keep working on that. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of backing up here and staying in sync with him. Okay, that was good. Okay, so you can see a little bit better here what I'm doing. And I move my hand up when he does respond. I forgot to fly spray them. I left it up at the barn, so they're stopping because there's some flies, but they're not horrible, just so you guys know. Okay, now we're gonna do the rope with him. And again, this is great just in case something was to touch your horse or their leg or their butt or whatever, whether you're under saddle, out on the trails with it being brushed or something like that. It could be anything. I just want to see how they're going to respond to that. And I'm being very gentle. I'm not like smacking them obviously with it. I'm just doing it really slowly and very lightly tossing it so it doesn't like hit them on the other side. But I think that's a great exercise. Okay, now I'm going to do the mounting exercise. So when I do this, this is simulating what it's going to be like when you mount from the ground or a mounting block and that motion. So it's important that you don't put pressure on the wither. I'm touching him, but I'm not putting pressure on him, if that makes any sense. Now I stepped away to give him a second to think about that. And yes, he's thinking, what is this crazy horse lady doing? And yes, I am a crazy horse lady, so it works. Anyways, he's like, what a weirdo. But good, because weird people make good, quiet horses. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm also preparing him for when I'm mounting so that it's not a surprise when I do ever have to mount from the ground or the mounting block. He'll understand that motion. Okay, so now I'm very lightly going to touch his back leg with my rope. And as you saw, he had a response there. He's licking and chewing now. But some horses might kick out viciously at that. Like, he's super sweet. But this is why it's important to do these things, because you don't want that to be your head, okay, or your body. So I'm just doing these exercises to get a read on him and kind of desensitize him. Now, desensitizing is a loaded word. I don't believe horses are ever truly desensitized. I think they just gain a lot of knowledge and experience. But if you do something in a controlled environment versus something happening in an uncontrolled environment, such as out on the trail, you're not going to necessarily always get the same response. For example, if you have a tarp and you set that tarp down and it's fine in the arena, the horses responds well, they're cool with it, but then there's a tarp out in the open in a field, it's going to be a little bit of a different situation. So we just do the best we can do and prepare them the best we can. And as I was rambling, you saw he did really good with the bending. So we're going to move on to a little bit of lateral movement. So again, guys, I'm not asking him to side pass. He's not going to understand that, obviously, or shoulder in or anything fancy. That is so beneficial, all of those things. But right now, I just want him to simply understand, just move away from the pressure. I don't really care how it's done just today. We'll get more picky as time goes on. Plus, of course, he's a little skittish and nervous, so I'm not going to expect anything. There, that was good. All I wanted him to do is just step away. That's number one with these kind of horses, especially ones that get a little skittish and nervous. And he's not even that bad. He's a sweetheart, but see what I mean? He's looking at me, but we will develop that trust where he knows 100% I will never hurt him. Right now, I think he's pretty sure of that, but he's not 100%. That takes time. But yeah, he's doing really good. I'm super proud. This is awesome. All right, good boy. And now we have the sassy, the elegant, the Tobiano, Cruella. Okay, it's time to get this pretty girl all groomed up. She is so cute. Yeah, so again, we're going to do the same exercises with her and see how she responds to them. And again, I can go into a little more detail about each exercise. And yeah, she's so cute. I love how much more relaxed they are, and the geldings are running around back there like goofballs, and she's just like, okay. So funny. Also, if you guys are enjoying this and the other sessions, if you could hit that like button, the ponies and I would love that. Okay, so we're going to start off with some backing using the halter and lead rope. And she's doing really well. She's pretty light and responsive to that. And then we're going to, of course, do it with our hand. And as you can see, I'm just lightly setting it on there. If they move or shift their head, I just stay with them. So that's what I'm doing. And then release immediately when they take a step back. So sometimes you just got to hang in there. And again, I'm stepping with her, trying to stay in a cadence. That was really awesome. All right, let's do some bending. Okay, so besides suppleness and flexibility, I like doing this exercise because it allows the horse to understand that I'm just asking them to move their head and neck and bend versus asking them to move forward. So a lot of horses, both on the ground and under saddle, kind of like she's doing here, the second you turn them, they think move. Well, under saddle, I want them to understand there's a difference between my rein aid and my leg aid. So bending the head and neck with the rein versus using the leg to ask them to move forward and circle are two different things. So that's another reason why I feel like this is really important. Okay, we're moving on to our rope exercise. So I'm going to do the same thing with her, very lightly toss the rope all over her body, see how she responds, if she gives any kind of nervous or negative response. And again, I'm going to do my little mounting exercise as well. Yep, she doesn't care. Very good girl. And with the legs here, I'm just very lightly kind of trying to get the rope to like go around the leg, just very lightly wrap. And she was good. Okay, moving on to some in-hand work. Again, just asking for her to move away when I put a little bit of pressure there. Good. So far, so good. She's such a sweet girl. And again, very good. And again, we will be fine-tuning this. So don't judge it too hard. This is just day one, step one. Who knows what they've done before? So I'm going to let her just move out and trot a little bit so she doesn't get frustrated. Not that she was. I just think I just wanted to get her moving, doing something else for a second. So always make sure you're paying attention and reading your horse as well. I just felt like she just needed a little mental break. So let's move our feet and then we'll regroup. Okay, awesome. She's doing so well. She really tries hard and she's so willing and she has heart. Just so sweet. And we're going to wrap up there. So hit that subscribe button to follow for more sessions, guys. Bye, horse lovers.